Hey guys, welcome to the absolutely awesome tag done by Sean Earschan. It is the John Carpenter tag, 10 questions all about the maestro himself. And copy me, will you, alien shapeshifting fuck. Sorry about that, folks, some technical difficulties. So, back to Sean's 10 questions. The first question is, favourite John Carpenter score? For me, actually, it's from his first movie, Assault on Precinct 13. The score for this is so tense and so palpable and just goes hand in hand with the movie so well that even from this kind of early, real raw movie, you can tell there's something special about Carpenter, not just his filmmaking, but his work as a composer. And it's just such an absolute atmospheric kind of, dare I say, score or ambience of a score. It just really lends itself and becomes another character in the movie. And for me, that is why the score for Assault on Precinct 13 works so well. Just the lead in, the main theme for it, again, it's part of that movie as much as any character in the flick itself. And yeah, it's an absolute kick-ass score. Question 2, most underrated Carpenter movie, has to be for me Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Now, love him or hate him, Chevy Chase is actually a good actor. He's funny. His comedic timing is second to none. Sure, he's an asshole, but he really shines in this movie. The visual effects are pretty cool. Again, it's come a long way since the classic Universal Invisible Man movies. But this movie, it absolutely kicks ass. It's got action, it's got comedy. Chevy Chase is fantastic. Sam Neill is brilliant as the bad guy. He absolutely kicks ass in this movie. And I think he stated that this is one of his favourite movies. So yeah, it's got a cool bad guy, cool hero, lots of laughs, great visual effects. And I don't think enough people talk about Memoirs of an Invisible Man. It's an absolutely kick-ass flick. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. Question 3. The most scary scene in a John Carpenter movie, for me, has to be the defibrillator scene in The Thing. We've already been bombarded with so much shock and trauma throughout this movie. And then when you have Doc Copper just hit those paddles down on Norris's chest, and his chest opens up and snaps off Copper's hands or arms, it's just so fucking scary. And so it's one of the best jump scares I think there is. I remember as a kid nearly fucking shit myself watching this. And it's pretty cool that, like, not only does the chest turn into a monster, but the head, once it's set in fire, just kind of scuttles off and tries to escape. Again, one of those amazing scenes, and thanks to Rob Bottin's fantastic visual effects artwork, it is an amazing scene, and a scene that sticks with you. Question 4, most tense scene in a Carpenter movie. Ironically, The Thing again has to be the blood test. I think everyone and their aunt will probably be picking the blood test for the most tense scene. As I said before, we just seen the scene with Norris's chest bite off Copper's arms, and then the head scuttle away, and you had the classic line, "You gotta be fucking kidding me." So the guys are already on edge, and you have McCready, of Kurt Russell's McCready, having them all lined up at flamethrower point, and they've decided to test the blood, and just, it's so slow, it's not quickly done, it's just, there's dialogue going on between, you have accusations thrown at Mac, you have Mac throwing back accusations at them. It's just, it's like a kettle, it's coming to a boiling point, and the minute that needle comes down and the blood flips out, you're like, oh fuck, this is a palpable scene, and probably one of my favourite scenes in any John Carpenter movie. Not just a suspenseful scene, but fantastically built up, and it absolutely kicks arse. So yeah, definitely the blood testing scene. Best non-horror movie from John Carpenter. Question 5. That is the best non-horror from John Carpenter. Has to be Escape from New York. Absolutely cool, post-apocalyptic, kind of nihilistic, movie where you have an anti-hero, you have a throwback to the kind of tough guys of the 60s and 70s, the Charles Bronsons, the Lee Marvins, and you have Kurt Russell, who's kind of cut from the same kind of generational cloth as Snake Plissken, who essentially, he's not a hero, he doesn't want to be a hero, he's not interested in anyone's politics. The only reason he's doing the job is because he's a bomb inserted in his fucking neck that will explode. Great cast, Harry Dean Stanton. You also have Isaac Hayes, Donald Pleasance, Adrian Barbeau, Ernest Borgnine. Fantastic cast. The idea that the island, New York, has been turned into a maximum security prison, incredibly great idea. Good thing they didn't try that again later on. Fuck you, Escape from LA. But yeah, no, Escape from New York absolutely kicks arse, and Kurt Russell kicks arse. He kicks arse in Escape from LA as well. It's just, that movie's shite, but best non-horror movie for me from Carpenter has to be Escape from New York. Assault on Precinct 13 is close behind, but has to be for world building and action. And there isn't that much action in it, but for world building and kind of the action scenes we get, it's pretty badass. And the idea that you're stuck with this hero who isn't necessarily the most likable guy in the world. Like, I think he lets he hooks up with this girl and lets her die like 5 minutes after meeting up with her. Just a really, really cool kind of cold badass character as well with Snake Plissken. So yeah, has to be for me non-horror movie from Carpenter has to be Escape from New York. Question 6. Will Mike Myers ever die? Well, depends if they keep on making Shrek movies. No, I tell a lie. Michael Myers, I think they'll keep on making Halloween movies. If people keep going to see him, they'll keep on making them. I'm wondering what they're going to do with Halloween Ends. Like, even if they do kill him, I can see him being brought back like 2 or 3 years after. But that's just me. But a character like that, it's not any kind of supernatural thing that keeps on bringing him back. It's the box office. So if people keep going to see these movies, he'll keep on coming back. So I can definitely see Michael Myers coming back. Question 7. Which is Carpenter's most spooky atmospheric horror movie? For me, In the Mouth of Madness, there is just something unsettling, fantastically so. Again, it's a fantastic, underrated kind of Carpenter movie. It's kind of found its audience nowadays. You have Sam Neill looking for this elusive author by the name of Sutter Kane, and he has to travel to Hobbs End. I think it's Hobbs End, yeah. A fictional town which appears in Kane's books, and just the atmosphere and like the whole thing. The minute you get into the town, everything is just off askew, and it slowly unwinds. And there's some fantastic kind of nods to Lovecraft's ability to tell stories, that you have a very mundane setting that slowly kind of goes askew, and it becomes more unsettling and more unsettling and more unsettling. And like the scene where you have Sam Neill approaching the church, this gorgeous kind of Spanish cathedral, and it's just, there's something ominous about it. And again, even where Sam Neill's character is being chased through this never-ending hallway, it's just incredibly unsettling. And there's just so many scenes where he wakes up in the bus. What is it again? Blue. The color blue can be a sign of terror, and he just wakes up in the bus. Again, that movie is so atmospheric and just makes you feel on edge from start to finish. And I think that's the sign that Carpenter was a great director. I don't know if he still is, but people say he kind of ran out of steam by the end of the 80s. I disagree, and In the Mouth of Madness is a prime example of that. He still could make you kind of shiver and feel uneasy. So yeah, for me, most kind of spooky atmosphere in a Carpenter movie has to be In the Mouth of Madness. Question 8. What is Carpenter's worst movie? Lots of people pick on Village of the Damned, and I disagree. Actually, really like Village of the Damned. Not his best, not his best movie, most certainly, but has a great cast and a great setup, and it's a great remake. So I'm going to vouch for Village of the Damned because it really gets a shit end of the stick. If I had to pick what his worst movie is, hands down, has to be Ghosts of Mars. I mean, what the fuck? You had flashbacks and flashbacks. You had a bunch of zombie Martian colonists, possessed by the spirits of the aliens that were buried there, and they all end up cutting each other and looking like Marilyn Manson and Slipknot members. It's just a fucking mess of a movie. I get what Carpenter was trying to do. He's trying to do kind of High Noon or a Western. He loves Westerns, obviously loves Westerns. You can tell that from Vampires and from Assault on Precinct 13, which is a nice nod to Rio Bravo. But this is just a fucking mess of a movie. And I don't know, maybe it was studio interference or maybe they gave him too much leeway. But I definitely think that Ghosts of Mars is his worst movie. And kind of, dare I say, a sad finish to his career. But I digress. That's just my opinion. Question 9. If Carpenter was to direct a sequel to one of his movies, what would it be? Has to be They Live. I think if he was going to come back and do a movie, and again, I'd be trepidatious about it, I'm not going to lie. And the next question will kind of will kind of answer that. But if he was to come back and direct a sequel, I'd say They Live, because this day and age, with everything going on, with like the stuff happening in the United States, with the kind of political system, the political upheaval, with social media, with Instagram, with Twitter, with kind of like people who are just obsessed with like being on social media, I think that would be a great springboard to kind of more nefarious actions by the aliens from They Live. I think it would be the perfect kind of melting pot to make a continuation of that story. The first story was about Reaganomics and the kind of the evils of consumerism, and maybe this one could be like about the evils of social media and the need and want for people to kind of put themselves out there. I think They Live, not a retelling but a sequel, a follow-on, would be an interesting kind of way to expand upon it and expand. Well, they failed with their kind of Reaganomics scheme, but they're trying to use social media as a means to take over Earth again. So yeah, definitely They Live. Question 10. Is there one last great film left in Carpenter? Maybe. Again, I don't think he's like lost anything as a director as other directors have. I think just with age, some directors get a sense of hubris. For example, the likes of Ridley Scott, when he returned to the Alien franchise, I definitely think that no one was really questioning him, or no one was like kind of saying, well, that doesn't work with the continuity you established. I think if he had someone working alongside him, maybe, like he still can direct good movies, not great movies. The Ward, for example, starring the fantastic bed-shitting lunatic herself, Amber Heard, was an okay movie, but I definitely think that if he was to come back and do something great, like a sequel to one of his other movies, he would need someone to co-direct, to help him, because again, his style is something that's definitely more suited to the 80s and the 90s. And I just think maybe a younger, modern audience mightn't get it. But that's just me. I don't want to be... I'm not going to be like one of these kind of old fucks going, things were better back then. There was better movies, but at the same time, you have to move on and you have to change and you have to cater for the current audience. So I definitely think if he was to come back and do another movie, he would need a very strong kind of creative team around him to help him kind of craft something that would be more palpable for the current generation. So yeah, that is the 10 questions of the John Carpenter tag from the awesome Sean Erskine. If you haven't checked out Sean's channel, check it out. I'll have a link below. And the people I'm going to tag for this tag is the Night Watch Zone. He kicks ass and he's a big John Carpenter fan, so I definitely hope he does this. Lady Sasha, I'm going to tag Lady Sasha, and I'm going to tag Cara from Horror Retrospective. So yeah, guys, if you haven't already, check out Sean's channel. It kicks ass. And yeah, this is a fun tag. And again, thanks a million, Sean, for including me. And yeah, I hope the Night Watch Zone, Lady Sasha, and Horror Retrospective give this tag a go, because I think it's right up their alley. And yeah, have a good one. Take care. Bye now.